So domestic abuse in pregnancy can have a massive impact upon unborn children and upon the wider family as well. Particularly for the baby, there is a higher risk of miscarriage. There's a higher risk of the baby being stillborn. We also have things like, for example, the mother may be turned into coping mechanisms to try and manage that domestic abuse she's experiencing. And those coping mechanisms might be things like substance misuse, alcohol use, which can then impact upon the baby with things like the baby being born with fetal alcohol syndrome. Often what we find as well is that because stress levels are higher for the mother during the pregnancy, because she's experiencing this domestic abuse, you often get babies born with higher cortisol levels, which means that they are sometimes kind of more susceptible to things like brain development issues, and that is as a result of those, or it can be as a result of those kind of higher cortisol levels.
So when we look at the impact of domestic abuse on the expectant parent, obviously where we have physical abuse, there could be lots of injuries that the expectant parent may be trying to hide and keep this hidden. This also might mean that there are missed antenatal appointments with fear and anxiety that the secret of the domestic abuse, their abusive relationship, is going to be found out. So the expectant parent is under a lot of pressure to keep that information about their abuse secret. So very often their antenatal appointments may get missed. The abuse can also have an impact on the expectant parent, causing them lots of anxiety. They could have low mood, depression, and under immense stress on a daily basis, living in fear of not only injuries to themselves but injuries to their unborn child as well, and the impact that it may have on their unborn child.
So there's physical injuries that could cause bleeding and loss of pregnancy or bring on early labour and birth. The stress of living with domestic abuse can lead to birthing complications such as low birth weight and that feeling insecure when you're going into labour. So the body's trying to delay giving birth, so that can lead to a lot of difficulties during that time.
The emotional abuse, particularly having such an impact on the expectant parent, can also impact on their capacity to bond with their baby. Bonding with the unborn child, that starts whilst baby is in the womb. So there's a huge impact if the expectant parent is trying to survive day to day. The impact of that abuse that they're experiencing, that they're no longer enjoying their pregnancy. Pregnancy should be a time of enjoyment, excitement, but very often because of the abuse that is not the case.
In terms of for wider family as well, and for siblings in particular, because they're witnessing often and being subjected to that domestic abuse that's going on within that household, we know that domestic abuse impacts children in the sense that they often feel very uncomfortable and on edge within their home environment. That ultimately impacts upon their emotional well-being, often upon their understanding of relationships as well, healthy relationships, and upon their sense of safety too. But not only that, the added complication of a new baby then being brought into the picture as well, with domestic abuse being a factor, is that sibling, that child may begin to almost resent that unborn baby, because they've, in that child's eyes, may have kind of, been responsible almost for those added kind of complications that have taken place in the home at the time when the baby, when mum's been pregnant. So that can often kind of threaten that siblings bond with the baby as well.